Okay, I guess we are live. So thank you, Vivek, for helping us making sure we are live. Hey everyone, I welcome you all to today's Meshery development meeting. Today is 30th April, Wednesday. And in this meeting, if you're new, in this meeting, we basically discuss about Meshery. So it's a Meshery development meeting. As Meshery is a CNCF project, we follow the CNCF code of conduct. So be respectful to others in the meeting. And since we are starting out, we have couple of housekeeping items. The first housekeeping item is you make sure you add your name in the attendees list. So one of us will share the link in the chat so that you can add your name in the attendees list. And the second is your introduction. So if you are new to today's meeting, I would encourage you to unmute yourself and maybe introduce yourself. It's a great chance for you to introduce. I personally, for me, I'm Yash, Mishri's maintainer, and I love yellow color. So you can share anything that you want. So if anyone is new to today's call and want to introduce, give a short introduction. Come on, don't be shy. Anyone? Okay, so although I'm unfamiliar with some of the faces, so maybe Chetan, Pranit, Tanishq, anyone want to go give a small introduction? Okay, no issues. In case if you have any issues with your mic, you can always introduce yourself in the chat as well. So yeah, feel free to do so. Since I think people are already enthused, maybe so let's
Yeah,
move forward without.
we're gonna have to break the ice. We're gonna have to,
Yeah.
have to say hi to some folks. We got some new folks on the line. We're gonna have to make it comfortable, make it awkward. We're gonna have to make it awkward to make it comfortable, I think. So I'm Rita. I'm Rudy, I should say. No, I'm Rita. I'm Rita. We got two Amritas on the phone, and one of you is relatively new, and one of us didn't have their camera on. Hi.
Yeah,
Hey,
we can
Amrita,
see
how
you.
are you? Yeah. Lieben, how are you? Fantahoon. Hello. Say hello. Yep, there's Lieben in the Slack. Probably you've got a microphone. Oh, you're at the library. I see. Well, okay. We'll try not to say anything too funny, so you're not sitting there laughing at your screen in the library. We'd hate for you to be pointed out by the librarian for being too loud. Hey, Rohan, Miss or Mr. Sen, which one is it? Rohan sounds somewhat masculine, but I
Yeah,
can't.
I'm a boy. I'm a boy.
All right, there he is. All right, very good. He's he's a man. He's a boy. He's a good. Rohan, how are you, man? Where are you calling in from?
Uh, yeah, hello, I'm good. I'm from India actually, and I joined the meeting for the first time.
Oh, very good. Hey, welcome. Hey, thanks for being brave enough to speak up. I think we've got a few that might not be quite as brave as you. I don't know. We'll give them one last chance.
Thanks,
Yeah. Fantahoon. Chicken.
Yep.
To,
Hello guys, nice to meet you.
all right, there he is. Hey, am I saying it terribly, Fantahoon?
Yeah, you pronounced it correctly.
Oh, okay. Nice. Where are you calling in from?
I'm from Ethiopia.
Yeah, nice. Wait, say it one more time. Did you say Jordan?
I'm from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa.
Did anyone else get that? I'm feeling like my geography skills are weak at the moment. What? Where are you from? Uh-oh. Fantahoon, we got to be able to talk.
Then
Where are you?
Ethiopia, East Africa.
Ethiopia. Okay. Ethiopia. Very good. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Marcy, was that you? Did you help me? I appreciate it. All right, great. Who else? Who else wants me to misunderstand them? Rita. Are we just limited to text chat, or are we going to say hi? Uh-oh. And Rita, I feel like we're not going to be friends. Just say hi. Lieben, even if you're in the library, like you can whisper, right? You just lean into the microphone and say hi. Like the reason that we're going through and more or less harassing people at this point is because we really want to connect with you. I assume that you're here to either use one of these projects or contribute to one of the projects. And I don't know if you know this, unless there's a relationship, PRs don't get accepted. Unless there's a relationship, questions about how to do something don't get answered. It doesn't like we're the ninth fastest, highest growing project in the CNCF. CNCF has the world's second largest open source project, Kubernetes. So we're, depending upon how you measure, not there's a lot going on is what I'm trying to say. And all kinds of bugs are introduced, all kinds of questions are asked every day. Unless we recognize the name, we just can't keep up. And it's just not worth trying to explain it to people who aren't able to say hi or aren't willing to have a relationship. So I'll give some of you guys the last opportunity here. Do you want to say hi, or should I just skip over your name when I see it in the Slack or on an issue? Anybody else want to say hi?
Am I audible? Hello?
Good. Thanks, Lieben. That's all I was looking for.
Hello.
Was just you don't have to say anything else, Lieben, because you're in the library. So I get, but thank you so much for speaking. That's great, man. Yeah, there he is. All right,
Nice
good.
to
Yeah,
meet you.
good. Now everybody, hopefully other people aren't looking at you weird. Like, what are you doing? Great. That's Lieben. Oh man, I feel like we're connected already. Okay. I'll be watching out for Lieben's name. Anybody else? Okay. For my part, I'm so super serious about not connecting with answering people's questions who don't want to connect. So anybody else?
Hello everyone, I am Aditi.
There she is. All right, Aditi. Yep. We were just getting to know each other, right? You're into Python, third year student, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Very good. Kicking butt already, helping review PRs. Already got a few under your belt. Good. It's nice to see you. See how this works. It's great.
Yeah, it's nice. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Now everybody else knows Aditi as well. It's good. She's a butt kicker. Good. Anybody else? All right. Thanks for letting me interrupt, Josh. I'm writing off Tahun. No.
Thank you, Lee.
Martin said hi, right? Ethiopian. Yeah. Okay. It's Amrita that I'm writing off. Okay, good. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, in case if you are not get a chance to introduce yourself, feel free to do that in the chat as well. So we'll start with our agenda items. So we have our contributor training session. So we will be having contributor training session today on the Meshery CLI from Aditya and Matthew. On the other half of the meeting, before that, we'll try to cover some of the items. So let's start with some of the agenda items, like from the CLI and UI. Amit and Matthew, anyone want to go and share about their updates on standing agenda items?
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
Nothing really to share on my side. There's not really a lot of update, excepted for the test in the end-to-end testing. We have merged a couple of pull requests that were open, and now we are able to run manually the test in the CLI. And this is currently just a manual workflow that it's working, but we have one test that it's not working that need to be fixed, and after that we will be able to do it automatically on each pull request open. And yes, that's it.
Thank you, Matthew. Any comments? Anyone? Any comments
Perhaps
from others?
Nikita, a little update about the command model, not the init one, but the second one, build. I don't remember where you were on that part.
Nikita, you want to share any update? I think you're mute.
Yes, you look unmuted.
We are not able to hear you, Nikita. No issue. Take your time. Okay, so we will get back
Yeah,
to
it's
Nikita once.
Yep.
Yeah, once he is able to share. Thank you, Matthew. If anyone have anything to share for Matthew, any comments for Matthew, I'll wait for 2 more seconds. Okay, Amit, do you want to go ahead and share about the standing data item for UI?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So for UI, we are tracking all of the migration in this spreadsheet, and now we are migrated to the class-based function to the component from the class-based to the functional base. Like we migrated all the component. There are some Grafana component was left. I finished those component today, like merge it, and like from now we are all migrated to the functional based component. So yeah, we are done with the one migration here. For the Meshery UI, we are done with this migration.
Amit,
Now we
sorry for interrupting. Are you sharing your screen? I'm not able to see it.
yeah, I
Yeah, it
hope.
is now visible.
Yeah, so like I'm sharing that like we are migrated all of the class-based functional component to the functional base for the Meshery UI. Previously, there are some left, so I merged it, and some of our Grafana that left I tested, and it there are some bugs that previously also, and now in the functional I created one issue for that, for the Grafana one that list all of the issue that present in the, but yeah, we are now migrated all the component to the functional based component. So any question?
Any question for Amit? Maybe Abid?
No, actually, I don't have any
Ah.
questions. I think that was great.
Yeah, and next we are tracking like the migration for the XEOs to the RTK migration. So any UI guys who want to work on the issue, it is like the simple good first issue that we required some of the for components we want to migrate to the RTK query from the XEOs. So yeah, we are now tracking this particular migration. Okay.
Thank you, Amit. Is there anything do you want to share?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Amit. If you have, if you are working on UI part and if you're looking to work on something, you can pick up the issues that Amit mentioned. So let me share the screen. Okay, so we have covered our agenda items. We have some contributed training schedules as well, which you can check out from here. And for now, I can move forward with the topics. So Nikita, let's get back to you. And if your mic is, yeah, okay.
Hey, hello everybody. Yeah, let me share my screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, so like I'm going to give some brief updates on the model build command, so which I briefly mentioned like on the last meeting. So I prepared a PR, which is probably kind of ready for review already. So like, yeah, there is a functionality which builds an OCI image, and I'm going to show briefly how it could be
Nikita,
used.
sorry for disturbing. I'm not able to see your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Maybe you can try retry.
Sure, yeah, let me share screen, share. Do you see now?
Okay, it is now visible.
Yeah. Sorry about it. Let me know if it will be not visible again. Yeah, so there's we are in a CLI, the Meshery CTL. So we built Meshery CTL. Then I will create just a folder for empty folder. We go to this folder. It is empty, and we first run init command to prepare like files. Yeah, so it is like a model init command, which already is available in exp. So it generated like actually a folder with files in it. Like so now we can go and build this folder in a OCI image with a model build command. So I call Meshery exp model build, and I so we are in a current folder, and I tell that this is like model ololo and version yep, and so the result of this command is like this tar file, which contain like it's actually just a tar file was from this folder with a version, and now I can call Meshery import on this tar file. Import. I think I just need to pass it, and that's it. Model, right? Model import. Yeah, and there is like an output from model input command. I mean, like it is kind of giving errors, but it is like a validation errors because like we generated the model init and it does not contain like data, like for example, schema version is empty. But like with this, we can, yeah, I mean, like so model build is built in.
Thank you, Nikita. Matthew, any review?
I've got a question. The
Yeah.
wall of text that we see
Right.
is helpful.
No, but this is from what it's from model import, like it's not from a build.
Okay. I
Okay, so
will
from
follow that.
build, yeah, from build it's just like this, like two lines, and no, not this one. Sorry, for these two lines. Yeah.
I will file that feedback elsewhere. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Other quick questions for you, if I may. So this is wonderful, by the way. Just can be essential to some users' core workflow with integrating with Meshery. Just the ability to have this command, the ability to create a model. It's like this is fundamental to that. So some of the smaller nuances. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and the answers don't have to be yes, that was addressed. Like they can be quite rudimentary, but like the folders, components, connections, credentials, relationships. Do those folders have to be? Do we have to have those folders? And if so, do they have to be named that? Is that pertinent to the command at all?
This is coming from a model init, and it was like how it was described, like in a subtask, like so. It was like expected output of model init.
Oh yeah, it looks wonderful. It looks spot on. I'm just asking if a user doesn't honor that or adhere to it, or they decide that they wanted to call it connection, not connections, or like, do those are those considered for? Are they?
Right, got it. For now, no. So like there is like a topic of validation over the schema, which is probably partially covers this. So for now, like what model build is actually doing is just like calling like a mesh kit. There's like a method in mesh kit library, which I think it's just simply building a tar. So like even it's like right now model build, which we have this, which I'm showing, even if it will contain like I don't know some images or whatever, it will just build the tar with it, and that's it. But yeah, later on we should implement the validation.
I will challenge you if later on, if you come back to be a diligent engineer and a diligent contributor, I would challenge you in that moment with, wait a second, are we over engineering for something that just doesn't matter at all? Like you've done you have the best answer I think that could have been given, which is it's just completely immaterial what those folders are named. They have who gives a little poop emoji? Nobody. I don't, because they don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's got nothing to do with whether or not the component is defined, whether or not it was in a component folder. Doesn't to who. All we would do for beyond what you've perfectly done in my mind would just be over engineering and getting in our own way, just stumbling over our own shoelaces, kind of a thing. Like it's so. Oh, that's my 2 cents anyway.
So you mean like, so if we are kind of using them together, like a model init and a model build, then we do not need to worry much about like to validating that the user is trying to build something.
Yeah, or like
okay.
To toss
Yeah,
in a
makes
different
sense. Makes sense.
example, if I had a folder named except blue, and I called my folder blue. Doesn't matter. My
Yeah,
components
not really.
invalid or valid based on that? Second, no, it doesn't really have any. It doesn't. Who cares? So don't consider it. So it doesn't. If do I have 50 folders deep? Who cares? Just iterate through them, and maybe I like that was the way my brain organized my components. But does it implicate anything in the current system? No, it doesn't matter. If we had a system wherein you could bundle in 5 models into one OCI image, maybe we care about folder structure and other things. But even then, hopefully not, because the components in themselves say what model they relate to. So it doesn't really matter if it was a flat structure or 55 folders and what they're called. So, and trying to figure out anything else in between there is just more time spent. Just like right now, there are 10 people that want me to shut up because they think I'm wasting time on proving this example. But I can't tell you how many times I've had this over engineering conversation on these meetings. And I can't tell you how many hours I've spent with users and others trying to reverse like where we thought we were doing a good job of making a bunch of assumptions and it being opinionated for users when we should have just stopped at the very simple behavior. And so this is great.
Well, right, like in the end, like, so you will use this image like, or import like through CTL or import in a web interface, yeah, and it will be validation like when you import it. Like this.
Thank you, Nikita. Is there any other update that you want to share?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, let me share my screen. Okay, Tanishk, do you want to share about the mesh model add delete feature to the model?
Yeah.
We have a couple of minutes before we start the contributing session, so just be quick. Thank you. Are you facing any issue, Tanishk?
Did you say be quick? Yeah, I don't remember. Okay.
Yeah. Probably I shouldn't said that. Okay. So, Tanishk, if you are facing any issue, maybe we can reiterate if we get time.
Wi-Fi is not working. So I'm connected from phone.
Yeah, no issue.
Is it visible now?
No, it is not.
Okay, so we can move to next.
And Whitney, do you want to go and share about your update on connection issue? If he's here, I don't think so. Yeah. And if I'm pronouncing it right, Do you want to go ahead?
Ian.
Yeah.
I'm in transition, so I won't be able to share my screen. So if someone can do that as far as the PR goes, but essentially the rundown there is it's still in draft mode. I didn't have necessarily the full. I didn't pull in the latest updates for the prompt changes that we have on the text, so it's still filling there. I'm trying to figure out if I could put a data test ID on that. Right now, that model ref doesn't forward any of the props down into the assistant component. So it's a little bit difficult there. It's not necessarily straightforward. We do have a lot of use cases where that would be handy versus just selecting it by text. So just kind of going back and forth there. A little derailed yesterday with the bug and signing in and testing that out. So wasn't able to get full focus there, but hopefully get that PR up. Additionally, just call outs on the API. We were testing or had that test hooked into a lot of the implementation details of an API response. I pulled those out of there. Essentially, we are or should be just testing it from like the user's perspective, and we have all those events in the snack bars or the snack event notifications. So transitioning that test over to use those instead. That's it for me.
Thank you, Ian. Do anyone have any comment, review, question for Ian?
Pulling out of the API details sounds like an end-to-end focus to me. I mean, that sounds like the right. But Abid, you were gonna say?
Yeah, I was going to just say like I think like he's on the right. Like I think he is only facing the issues with like drilling down the ideas to system, because I think some of these components are coming from system. So maybe yeah, I think probably some of these components might like I think we should just like all of these custom components that we have, we should just allow like passing the test idea as generically as props, so because it should make easier to test in future also. So maybe some like kind of a practice to do for all of these system components, like just passing the additional test idea as a prop for all of these might help.
Yeah, and I don't know if we allow any like just handles or hooks into even just like brings up the further question of like I know assistance is supposed to be like consistent across, but like do we even have any handles into like modifying styling or passing data test IDs in there or anything on that? So it might open up a little bit broader question on how we want to approach some of those bigger questions there, and maybe we just keep it locked down and put a data test ID and go forward. But anyways, just thoughts in my mind.
Thank you,
I think
Ian.
I think like we should have a general consideration for like some of the reusable things that might be passed down to compose, kind of like just a consistent layer of props that might be passed. Like maybe they might be just optional, but yeah, that would help like kind of a interface for the generic props.
Yeah, and probably another push for like if we want to go to like JavaScript, TypeScript, to surface that interface versus like having to drill down into like assistant and how that is replicated across Meshery and how it's discoverable and all those things. So.
Yeah. So test ID as universal baggage is a need. Is in assistant? Is that about right? Like the propagation of test IDs as a universal prop.
Yeah,
Okay.
prop to the components.
Yeah. So and again, it's contextual as far as like, do we want to pass that in or should it just be there? And like on the prompt model, like modal, like there's probably only going to be one per screen, so we could hard code some flavor of like component name and sub element and some variation of like if there's a variant of it, so you can select it specifically. So yeah, there is some context of like, do we want to pass it in? Do we want to just hard code it? It's probably pretty contextual and nuanced as far as like what's best there, per use case. But yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah, makes sense. I think we might just like have a default value, and maybe from the user end we might change it if there are. I think yeah, for some of these components like these, like which are just like will be only present once it would help. But some of the other like smaller components like buttons, models, like generic models and stuff, there would be multiple of those present on the UI. So we need to way to like pass the ID from client directly. But yeah, at default fallback would help.
Yeah, thank you, Anne, Abid, and Lee. Let's so we have couple of more items. We'll try to cover if any item is important that we should cover. Make sure you mention it in the comment section after the session, contributing session. We'll try to cover it. But before that, let's come back and have the session start. So Adit and Matthew, take over.
Okay. We'll share my screen. Okay. All good on your side?
Yep.
All good.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So welcome everyone. We're going to do a little session on how to contribute to Meshery CLI, which is the CLI that is talking to Meshery API. Myself, it's Mathieu Evrin. I am a French guy from in Canada, and I have started to, and I've become a maintainer in the Meshery organization since last year, and I'm contributing for about 1 year now, I think so. And yeah, you can see my the link to my community member here. Aditya?
Yeah,
You want to?
sure. Thanks, Madhu. So, hello everyone. I'm myself Aditya. I'm a data engineer working at City and also working as a maintainer for CLI model with Meshery. And about me, I joined Layer 5 as a contributor in 2021 and have been contributing towards the Meshery project since. And I have contributed towards many models like documentation and Meshery CTL. And so, yep, here I am. And then during my free time, I would just usually play games, listen to some chill music, and develop some kind of projects, and also help contributors as well to their PRs. Reviewing, merging PRs. So that's my stuff about me. And the below link is my profile, community profile in the Layer 5 side. So yeah.
Okay, so today what we are going to see, we will have a little introduction. We will review the architecture around Meshery CTL and Meshery. We will explain how the GitHub repository is structured, and a couple of point on how to install Meshery CTL, how to have a local setup to be able to develop in Meshery CTL, and how to use the CLI, and also how to contribute on the project. So what is Meshery CTL? Meshery CTL is the command line interface. Meshery is a big project with several components. You have a server, you have the front end, you have the CLI, and other components that it's described in the documentation. And basically, the CLI is just how to communicate, how to interact with Meshery server using your terminal. So like I mentioned, here you can see here the architecture of Meshery. On the left side, you see the Meshery UI, MeshryCTL and script that can be used to call the Meshery API. The Meshery API itself is the main services who do the stuff in with Meshery operators, mesh sync, etc. Like you see on the picture here. Aditya, if you have something to add, you can.
No, usually that explains it, Matthew.
Yes.
It's,
Okay. So
yep.
here you see that this is for the Kubernetes provider, because Meshery is able to run on Kubernetes and also on Docker. So here you can see that the Docker install of Meshery server, and the same way we have a UI extension and a MeshryCTL that is coding. So now we will go more in detail in the code itself. So if you go on GitHub, you can find the repository in this link, and the root structure of the repository will be a doc folder, install folder, MeshryCTL, policies, provider UI, server, and UI. Here we will stay in the doc repository and MeshryCTL folder, and in the doc and MeshryCTL folder. So when you will clone the Git repository, you will see that in the root folder there is MeshryCTL, and inside it you can see all those folders, which is following Golang basics project structure. And inside that, outside that folder, there's a doc page project MeshryCTL, where most of the documentation page related to Meshery are. Here, when you drill down in the, if I come back in here, you can see that in MeshryCTL there the folder named internal CLI root, and this is where all commands are created in for MeshryCTL. So if we go inside that folder, you can see that there's a lot of folders there, and each folders represent one command in MeshryCTL. Yes.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, Matthew, I will take out the slide. So now that Matthew has explained about the MeshryCTL and what will be the repository structure will be, so for new contributors, if you want to install the MeshryCTL in your system, these are the few instructions. I have segregated based on the kind of operating systems you guys might have. Most probably, assuming that most of them use Linux, I haven't added the instructions. Or else, if you are using Windows or WSL will also cover up on Linux, so that doesn't matter. But if you are using exclusively like Windows and not any other operating system, there is also an instruction for that. So to install only the MeshryCTL, and you don't want to deploy Meshery in your Docker instance or Kubernetes cluster yet, then you can use the first command, which is just the deploy underscore Meshery flag equal to false. So what it will do is it just installs the MeshryCTL in your system, but it will not deploy Meshery basically. But however, if you indeed have the Docker instance or Kubernetes cluster, well and good. The second command is that they will install both the MeshryCTL as well as install Meshery into your Kubernetes cluster or Docker, depending on whatever kind of platform you're in. there are additional installation instructions for Kubernetes clusters like AKS or GKE, but that is present in the documentation because there might be behind the scenes there would be some kind of setup you need to connect your Meshery instance to for this cluster. So, but for overall, these commands will suffice. And if you do have a package manager installed like a Homebrew installed in your Mac OS or Linux, well and good, then we do have a Homebrew command for it, brew install Meshery CTL. For Windows, if you there is a package manager called as Scoop, so you can just install Scoop and then type Scoop install Meshery CTL. So what it will do is once you have installed the Meshery CTL, you will be config file will be created called as the mesh config. So that is the config file for Meshery and which you can modify your Meshery instance according to it. Like for example, install adapters or tweak the dashboard UI according to it. The path will be created at the mentioned over here. And if you want the more info about like how mesh config works and how I can tweak it, then I have provided the documentation link below, which you can refer in the slide after that. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay. So this instruction, say the first slide includes all the will cover up mostly 95% of installation part. But say if you want to download the Meshery CTL manually, this is just an off the books tip. You can also install Meshery from the GitHub Meshery repo, where you can find under the releases page. You can just see it over here. There will be a separate architecture for macOS, Linux, and Windows. You can just install the zip and then configure your environment variables to pinpoint the Meshery CTL to it, or else it will be an additional instruction where you have to edit the environment variables to pinpoint a Meshery CTL instance basically. But if you are a geek and want to tweak around something, then this is also possible. So yeah, next slide. Okay, so now that you have installed Meshery CTL, assuming and you have used a part of it, now if you want to contribute to the Meshery CTL, that's well and good. So what do I need? Where do I start with? So these are the following requirements. The first and foremost is primary you need is a Golang, the version 1.23 or above installed. For Windows, if you are working in Windows, exclusively on Windows operating system, then you need to install GNU Make. Make is the one which helps in building the Meshery CTL behind the scenes. For Mac OS and Linux, it's already inbuilt. But if you are exclusively on Windows and you don't want to migrate WSL for some reason, then you have to no other go install the GNU Make. I have also provided instruction like a link to install directly from the GNU website itself. Or if you have a package manager such as Chocolatey, then you can just directly install um, the GNU Make to it. And third one, if you want to say work on the documentation part, then you need to install Jekyll as well. But if you don't need to build your documentation parts and just I need to work on the Golang files alone, then the third one mostly not required. But for safer side, if you want to view how the documentation views in your local build or while raising a PRs also, then you can just install Jekyll and then build the documentation side. So the second question arises how to build Meshery CTL. It's easy. Just go to your, once you clone the Meshery repository in your system, you just need to go to the Meshery folder in a CLI and type make command. This is for, again, for Linux and Mac OS. If you are in Windows, just type make for win. For win is the additional flag you need to give if you are in Windows, or I'll just make will just resolve it. And then if you have made any changes to the Golang files, you can just test your local build for Meshery CTL, and it will appear as below. For Linux, it will be Linux or macOS, it will be just Meshery CTL binary file, and for Windows, it will be .exe. With that, you can test around, and then you can, if you feel good that your changes are good, then you can just open a PR about your changes and then straight away contribute. So yeah. And again, you can ask like what kind of libraries are used to make Meshery CTL. So these are the libraries used. The primary one is the Cobra, which is the standard framework for creating the command line interface apps via Golang. And the second one is Viper. So Viper is the one which will interact with the mesh config, which I earlier said in the previous slide. So this library is also being used for handling the mesh config files. So third one is the BATS framework. This is for writing the E2E test cases, integration test. So BATS framework is used. And fourth one is for logging purposes and reusing the architectural components in Meshery. We do use MeshKit as well. So, yep. Next slide. Over to you, Matthew. I think you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, good.
So just to give more details, we use Cobra framework for develop the commands inside Meshery CTL. So this is the official documentation page of Cobra framework. So why this framework? Because it comes with a lot of goodies to helping to create CLI and without doing stuff manually. There's, for example, when you create a new command, the help function is always it's always implemented for you. So that's why we are using this framework. Now I will go to an example of command that we have in Meshery CTL. Just let me know if you can see the GitHub property. Okay.
It's visible. Yep.
Okay. So here, for example, I just share the Meshery CTL environment command. And here you can see we have several files: create, delete, environment, list, view.go files. Each of those files are related to a command. The root command is environment, and under that command we have the subcommand create, delete, list, and view. So how this is done? So basically here we are just using Cobra framework. We just need to instantiate a command from that library, which is named environment command. Inside, when we do the initialization, we are using the use, short, long, example, args, and run e fields, which are some components that are built in the framework. And also we are using the init function. Basically what the init function is doing, it's just when you run at the runtime, it is called by the instance, and here it will just add all the subcommands available in that command. If I come back here, let's go in another example in the create command. So here we have exactly the same setup, and something that we can go deeper here. It's, for example, for the args field, here it's will be always a function. Basically, what we are doing here, it's validate that every flags we are, every required flags have been sent by the user. And if it's not working, we will return an error. And if it's okay, it will go through the run function here, where basically we are just doing a create. And here you can see we have also the init function. And the last part we can cover here is the test part. So we have a command inside environment. Under that command, we have a subcommand create. And for that subcommand, we are creating some tests. So basically what we want to do here is just validate that if we are running the command with some missing arguments or the required arguments, the command behave like we want. And yes, that's what we have to say here. Related to BATS, automated testing system, it's the end-to-end testing. I will not go through this today, but we had a session that was already recorded, and you can watch it on this link. And here it's related to the documentation. Aditya, want you?
Yep, I will take over on this one. So now that you have learned the basics of how to contribute in Meshery CLI, assuming, and there is another part called for documentation. So yep, without documentation, you won't know how to use that command properly, right? So we do have the documentation for Meshery CTL, and this is the a doc page as well. Yep, you will see that there are various documentation pages on command level and subcommand level. So if you have any doubt, queries, or issues facing like how to use this command, what did I did wrong, then you can refer to these doc pages, and you can view them individual doc pages as well, which will have the description of the each command and how to use them, um, and some of the examples and what are its flags present in each command level, etc. So if you are like interested, if you want to contribute to this docs as well, then there is certain instructions given in link below. Yep. So this is document generating the documentation pages is kind of automated. The Cobra it is using Cobra's default functionality as well to generate the document pages, which Matthew have showed you in the screen. And the instructions to create the documentation pages for those commands is given in this website link. And you can follow the instructions given in the website so that you can generate the documentations. So if you ask like, is it the manual process for command pages, it is automated most probably, but sometimes you might need to manually create the index page, which is bit of a static web page for now, honestly. But for the each command then subcommand doc pages, it is mostly automated and it is done using the GitHub Actions. So if you want to run the manual build of the dogs on your site, then you can just in the Meshery CTL folder, you just run make dogs. what it will do is it will run the Golang script to generate the documentation pages, and it will generate the documentation pages for you under this location, docs pages, reference Meshery CTL. You can just, it will be just markdown web pages basically. So you can just build the docs using Jekyll, and then you can have a preview. Or if you want, if you can't view them on the local basis, when you raise a PR, it will automatically create a copy of documentation pages to you. So that will also suffice. So you can just preview them over. Oh yeah.
Let me see if I found something there. Not this one.
No. I think Nikita's PR might actually have one of them, I guess. No. No,
No.
not yet.
Okay, we'll do that another time.
Yeah.
And okay, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's much of it. If there are any questions, you can feel free to unmute and ask us right now, or put it in the Zoom chat, or forever hold your peace. Any questions, folks?
So when I was like developing like the subcommands, I was manually editing YAMLs like in, I think, in docs folder. So looks like I did it wrong, right? I just need to run a make docs and it will do it instead of me.
Yes.
So
For generating the command or subcommand docs, what you need to do is you just need to go to the Meshery CTL in your terminal and type make docs. What it will do is it will run the Golang script to generate the markdown pages in your local, and then in the docs folder, you need to go to that via terminal and then type make. A simple what you do for building the documentation pages. It is a same process only. There's no much of change in that. But yes, for the index page, the tables which Matthew had showed previously, for that you need to edit the YAML file basically.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
I'm not able to found the GitHub action, but basically there's a GitHub action that will just do it in the CI when you are doing a pull request, and it will recreate the doc files, and it will be merged in main once your pull request is merged as well.
Let me find if I can find it here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Any other question?
I think I found it here. I'll just stop sharing start sharing for a while and take over.
Yep.
So this is one of the GitHub actions which will generate the CLI docs for you. And if your what it will do is if your PR is successful and we maintainers upload your PR and merge it successfully, what this action will do is this will run the script called as Meshery CTL docs, which the action will take over and override all the existing documentation pages exactly. And if there are new documentation pages found, it will just add them those, and it will perform the other action for generating the documentation website will run parallelly, and then you can just view the website typically. And for to view the documentation website, I think there's one. Let me just quickly find. I yesterday with example taken from Nikita's PR as well. Oh yeah, here it is. So if you have made any edits on the documentation pages for the Meshery CTL, also it will just the what we will do is the GH action will detect that you have created a documentation pages for the some Meshery CTL commands, and you can just go to the build link given by the action and then click command line reference. And if there is any edit or new web pages created by the GitHub Actions, you can just view them here itself instead of, you know, if you can't build the documentation website manually on your system, this is the alternative way as well. So yep, that's the thing. Any more questions? We will wait for 1 minute and then we'll wind up.
Is there any good first issues related to Meshery CTL? Since I couldn't find one.
So on GitHub, you can go on the Meshery project, and in the issues, you can filter labels with Meshery CTL and good first issue, I think.
Yeah.
So with those two flags, you should be able to. For example, here you can see this one, yes.
Okay, I think it's already being worked upon, but what you can do is you can just filter the label good first issue and find out with the label Meshery CTL in the issues title. And then if you find it like nobody's has been working upon or it's been for a long time, then you can just hop in and say, hey, I looked at this issue and want to fix it and contribute to the Meshery CTL. So we would help you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Aditi. Okay.
If there is any other question for Aditya and Matthew, you can ask right now, or maybe you can ask in the Slack later on as well. Thank you, Aditya and Matthew. I'll start sharing my screen. So, oops, just a second. Okay. So thank you, Matthew and Aditya, for awesome session. We really enjoyed it. Hopefully others also enjoyed your session. And if anyone wants to rewatch it, you can go on the YouTube channel to rewatch the session as well. And we have a couple of leftover items. If there is any item we should discuss right now, please let us know. I'll wait for 5 more seconds if there's any important item we should discuss. Otherwise, we'll cover them in the next meeting, next Wednesday. Thank you, everyone. I'm considering there is no other item we need to discuss right now. Thanks for joining us today. I really enjoyed the today's session, and hopefully you too. have a nice Wednesday as well. And good evening, good night for some few folks, and maybe good morning. So yeah, enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Ayash.